Hey, what's going on, everybody? TaylorMade Hoops coming to you live and direct once again. Coming to you with TaylorMade Hoops Coach's Corner. Today, I have a very, very special guest on. Got my main man, Coach Grant McMillan, Coach Grant McMillan, head coach at Navarro College in Corsicana, Texas. Let me go ahead and give you a little background on Coach. Coach worked at his alma mater, TCU, from 2006 to 2012 for the late, great Neil Daugherty and Coach Jim Christian. He was assistant at Howard Junior College under the Hall of Fame coach Mark Adams, who is currently, we all know, at Ole Miss. When he was there, they advanced to the national tournament in Hutch. While assistant coach at Howard, while assistant coach at Independence College, he led them to their first league title in 25 years. Coach Mack was also an assistant at Northwest Florida State under Hall of Fame coach DeMio, where they won a JUCO national championship together. He also, I think me and him started knowing each other. He's the head coach at Panola College for 4 years, where he still has the most wins in school history. He won the Region 14 championship, and he took them to the national tournament down there in Hutch. He's currently the head coach at Navarro College, like I said, in Corsicana, in his 5th year. He has already won 188 games and counting. The most important thing, which me and Coach we're big on, Coach has sent 42 players have moved on to the Division I level and 76 players on to 4-year schools while being the head coach at Navarro. The last point I know is what's most important for Coach, man. Coach is able to change over 100 and some lives. But let me go ahead and want to give his proper greeting and introduction, man. My main man, Coach Mack. How you doing, Coach?
I'm great, Ed. That was a great introduction, man. You went really into detail on that. That was a great job. Appreciate you having me. You've done a great job for a long time covering high school sports in the DFW area, and you do stuff the right way, man. So happy to be here and happy to help you.
Oh no, man. I'm happy to have you all. Like I said, man, I got a chance, man. Like I was telling our head coach Gill on down in McMillan, I told him I was just happy to see you guys sometimes. And I was at the tournament out there at the colony and got the chance to bump into you guys, man. I always like to see you guys because y'all have always supported me. And like you said, we were talking about Coach Tang. You never changed yourself, Coach. I always been the same guy. Really appreciate everything, Coach.
Absolutely.
But let's go ahead and get started, Coach. Let's go ahead and let the viewers know today our objective and points of conversation. Today, me and Coach Mack, we'll be talking about the present state of college basketball, things he looks for in a recruit, and advice for any young coaches. So my first question, Coach, I'm going to ask you is, where did you grow up in your athletic and educational journey, Coach?
I'm from East Texas originally, and I went to Van High School, which is a 3A school at the time. Now it's a 4A school. It's about half an hour west of Tyler. I was a 3A basketball player, on a really good team. We won a state championship my last year of high school, senior year, 2005. We beat Graham. It was just a small bunch of little guards on that team, man. But it was really good basketball. So grew up in the East Texas area and, went to college at TCU, which is my alma mater, and then, have worked in Florida, Kansas, and then back here in Texas.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, Coach, like we're gonna talk about it, but with these young coaches, understand we came up through a time of the grind, man. They don't understand this. Look at it now. They don't understand, like you say, seriously, man. The grind. I had the pleasure, man. I'm gonna say the great pleasure, man, to coach the Independence, man. Great place to coach there, but it's a grind, baby. It's a grind. You know that, coach.
Independence Junior College is a special place for me. I was only there 1 year, but out of all the places that I've worked, and I mean this, they were the nicest people.
Oh yeah.
The people of Southeast Kansas were beautiful people, and our kids were taken care of. Our kids were loved. It was a big time atmosphere for game days and stuff. I mean, they loved their basketball in Kansas. And it was a special place, man. It was a special place. And the Jayhawks, just a great historical league. It just is. But yeah, we were both at Independence, man. There's probably 3 restaurants in town to eat, a couple gas stations and a Brahms, and closest airport is to Tulsa, which is an hour and a half. So it's out there, man. It's out there.
Hey man, but most important thing you said, man, and I'll back on you on that, Coach Mac. That those were some of the most genuine people, nicest people I ever met, man, down there, man, Independence, man. I've been loved it down there, man. No doubt about that. For my viewers tune in, man, on TaylorMade Hoops, Coach's Corner, have no other than the great Coach McMillan, excuse me, can't believe I keep messing up the name, Coach Mac from Navarro Junior College on the show. Coach, let me ask this, Coach, growing up in East Texas, Coach, what role did athletics play in your life growing up? How important was playing sports?
I mean, I was always into sports as a kid. I loved the NBA as a young kid. Loved the NFL. Sports kept me out of trouble. I think without the structure of sports and without the practice times and all that, I probably would have made some really bad decisions. I'm not going to lie. So, I mean, for me, sports teaches you about life. It just does, and about how to overcome problems, adversity. How to work with other people. I think it's important, and it can help prep you for everyday life. It really can. But I mean, for me, sports has always been number one. It just has been. It's my only interest. I don't really have any hobbies, man. I can't change a tire. I can barely pump gas. So it's all sports to me, man. And that's really about it.
All right, Coach Mac. Well, let me ask this, Coach Mac. When did you realize that you wanted to be a coach?
That's a great question. I in high school, I was a point guard on a really good team, and I was kind of the floor general. Just kind of I got out of the way, and just was leader of the offense pretty much, and played a small role on that team. And I would say from there, played for Jerry Cassell, who's a Hall of Fame Texas high school coach. Did it for a long time. Won a state championship as a player and a coach. So I would say, probably then. And also, growing up, watching teams like UNC, Michigan with, Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, and those guys, like I love that Michigan team. So for me, it was always like, okay, how do these coaches get their start? Well, they got their start as a manager, a lot of them. And I wasn't good enough to play, D1 basketball, Division II basketball for that matter. I wasn't really a college basketball player. So for me, I had to go get a job in college basketball. And so I knew I had to start at the bottom. And, my first job was at TCU, wiping up sweat on the floor whenever someone hit the ground, and so, yeah, that's how I had to have my start. I wasn't a good player. I didn't have a dad that was a coach or anything like that. I mean, I had to come up the hard way, man. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah. So you appreciate people understand you come up on the grind, Coach. We didn't have anything, no silver spoon, out there for us, hand to us. We had to make our own way, make our own name, Coach. No doubt about that, Coach. Well, we already spoke of a Coach, but in total, Coach, how many years have you been coaching in total, Coach?
Oh, man. I'm getting old. I started being the manager in 2006. So I'm going to count that because I was still involved in scouts and stuff and all that. So 2006, I've been a head coach. I'm in year number 10. So I would say 24, 25 years around there, being close to it. So, yeah, I have been in collegiate basketball since 2006.
Well, let me ask this, Coach. I know you said you came up, and I know we all know this, Coach. Get to where we make it, Coach. We gotta have gotta have a lot of help. So, who are some of the people, Coach, that influenced you the most as a coach?
Yeah, great question, and I am very proud of how I was brought up in this industry. I think that's kind of lost nowadays a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
I was really brought up the right way. Jim Christian was my first real boss.
Okay.
Jim won like a MAC championship at Kent State.
Mm-hmm.
Was a heck of a coach in the MAC for a long time. He got the TCU job, and at the time, it really wasn't that cool to be like TCU manager. You know, we weren't very good. We were in the Mountain West. You know, we didn't have the arena we have now. We barely had a practice facility. We would hide the locker room from recruits. It was so bad. So we'd say that it was under construction. So there wasn't a lot of managers there at the time. And it was great for me because when Jim got the job, I mean, like he needed, you know, some people to help him. And I was there to help him. And you know, um, Jim's been a head ACC coach at Boston College. He's now the current head coach at Canisius University in New York,
Mm-hmm.
D1 school. Coach is a heck of an offensive coach, and I think more than anything, he treats people the right way. And I got to see how a CEO of a program, how he treats the janitor, how he treats the athletic director, how he treats the athletic trainer. And you know, Jim doesn't have a lot of enemies, and I think that's hard to do in this business for a long
Yeah.
time. So he was huge in that. You know, at Howard, I worked for Mark Adams, who I think is the best junior college coach in the history of junior college. Mark, his resume speaks for itself.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I went down to Howard. I was a straight volunteer. I got room and board, but man, I got a PhD for junior college basketball, and I didn't know what coaching was until I got there. The coach gave
Okay.
me a lot of responsibility as a young guy. He believes in empowerment, and he helped me grow with that. And the best way I can describe it, Ed, is we had an 8-point lead to start every game, and I have never felt that way with any other team. He gave us an advantage. He just did, from the preparation standpoint, discipline, toughness, and I had really good players. So we do a lot of this same stuff Coach did back then: terminology, scheme, drills. You know, I like to say this all the time, though. You know, I have the recipe, okay, but he's the only one who can get on the grill and actually cook it. So
Okay.
everybody likes to talk about the no middle defense. That's great. There's one guy who can get on that barbecue grill and actually cook it, and that's Coach Adams. So he was a huge influence in my life. And then Northwest Florida State is a well-known junior college.
Sure.
Steve
That's right.
DeMeo was my head coach. I was the top assistant. I didn't know coach at all, prior to working with them. And we still chat almost every day. We won that national championship together at the junior college level. I was only with coach for 1 year. He helped me get the Panola job. He's helped me everywhere in my career. One, he's a phenomenal recruiter. He's always going to get players. He's the best recruiter I've ever seen in my life. And it's an everyday thing. It's every day. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to recruit. And that's what he does. And he's a machine, and two, how he treats people, master at that, growing his brand at Northwest Florida. Coach is one of the few people I know that he will call everybody back that calls his office phone. It's unbelievable. Like, if I did that, I don't have enough time to do that, but he'll call everybody back. And I think that kind of, rubs off on him as a coach and a person. So, was extremely grateful to have, three really important people that I work for. And there's more, but that's the three really key people for my career and my journey.
Oh yeah, man. And that's something, coach, man, that no matter what college coach I have on here, you guys always talk about, coach, how you treat people, character, things of that sort. And also too, something you said, just how you treat people, man. That's what it's all about because people may forget about the wins and losses, coach, but people don't remember people always gonna remember how you treat them, how you made them feel, coach. So that's a very, very important point you brought up, coach. No doubt, man.
Absolutely.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, hey, for everybody that's tuning in to TaylorMade Hoops Coach's Corner, I got my main man, Coach Mac on. Coach Mac is the head coach at Navarro Junior College down there in Corsicana, Texas. Coach, we're going to transition over to talk about a little bit about X and the O's. Coach, what is your offensive and defensive philosophy? How do you like to play down there in Navarro, Coach?
Well, I am a strong believer in the fact that you have to play what your personnel is. And now we try recruit, a specific way, but, we're usually smaller than other people. We're going to play 4 guys on the floor that can dribble, pass, and shoot. So, 4 out, 1 in stuff. We play up tempo, I think right now we are number 1 in the league in scoring. Have a long way to go, but our guys have freedom on the offensive end, but they also have, belief, and I think that comes from me. I want our players to be empowered on the offensive end, So 4 out, 1 in, a lot of transition offense. For defense right now, we can't guard me, so we got a long way to go with that. I like to be a defensive guy, being a Coach Adams guy. I have been my whole career, but this group just slowly been learning it. So just whatever that group can do. I try to make it. The one thing that we want to avoid is information overload. Okay. I don't want our guys to be thinking, oh, do I hedge this? Do I switch this? Like, I want it to be instant. We know exactly what we're doing. So our stuff's pretty vanilla, but it's also really hard to do. So, but yeah, and two, I think as a junior college coach, it's my job to prep these guys for the next level. So, we run our program like a 4-year school. We just do. So scouts, preparation from that standpoint, and everything with that. So to answer your question, we play up tempo and we try to get after on the defensive end. And if a team cannot shoot at all, we'll play a zone. If a team is, really small, we'll switch everything. It just depends on the team that we're playing. We kind of adapt toward that.
Oh yeah. Oh no, Coach, that's a great philosophy, Coach. I've been blessed like you on a lot of interviews. They always ask you that question. That's something, Coach, that I always say, Coach. Every coach, the first thing you get better recognize is what your team can and can't do, and figure that out. And if you're a smart coach, you're going to put your team in a situation to do the things that do well and try to minimize the things that they don't do well. As we call it our business, we're going to try to hide them a little bit. If they can't do so, we're going to try to hide them a little bit.
No doubt. Yes, no doubt.
Well, Coach, let me ask this, Coach. I know, Coach, man, you like I said in the intro, Coach, over 100-some players moved on from Navarro since you've been there to the 4-year level. But just off the top of your head, Coach, that I don't want you to get in any trouble by any of your players. I know you got great relationships still with all your players, but who are some of the great players that you coached that are playing at the 4-year at the 4-year level, Coach?
Yeah, I had a lot, and I don't want to make anybody mad when I say this. So, we had one that Suleiman Duamba just graduated from Sam Houston State. He was at TCU for 3 years with the COVID year. Was a part of that frog team that went to the NCAA tournament twice. And then he was a grad transfer at Sam Houston and was a huge role guy on that team last year that won the championship and Coach Mudge's first year. So he had a great career at the collegiate level. Had Cole Maywayne that played at Oklahoma for a couple of years and then transferred to Sacramento State, and had a great career in the Big Sky. Sabri Phillip is a young man that we had that was a transfer from San Diego Division I, and he is still playing at Stony Brook University for Coach Gino Ford. He was a joy to coach in junior college. Drew Drennan, who we had that was a transfer from New Mexico in the Mountain West, he still plays at Texas State. He's got 1 year left, I believe. And then we have Antoine Lorick, who's at Tennessee State, playing for Coach Collins, who have 3 years left as well. So I can keep talking. I'm not going to. So I'm gonna cross it off right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Hey, Coach, let's go limit the number of phone calls you get, Coach. Like, Coach, what's up with that, Coach? You didn't mention me.
I know. And I know I missed somebody. I know I did. There's no doubt from last year. I can already think it, but I'm going to move on.
Well, Coach, man, let me ask this, Coach. In your experience as an assistant and now a collegiate head coach, what are some things you look for when evaluating a player or a prospective prospect, Coach?
Well, I'll tell you this, Ed. It's definitely changed over the years.
Okay.
I think as a young coach, I think you want to win more than anything. Now I think it's more of a research-based process. We like to do our homework, extremely involved with the high school coaches. I have a lot of respect for high school coaches around the country. We have a few on our team right now who play for Hall of Fame high school coaches. So I'm a huge believer if they come from a really good program, it's going to help that transition. It just is. So that's important. Does your team win in high school? What's your record? I mean, who's the head coach that you played for? Is he the defensive coordinator and just, play the basketball coach for the season, or is he a real basketball coach? Like that's huge for us, So I'd say that. And then at home, parents. As a young coach, I didn't really worry about that. But in today's world, I like to be upfront. I don't like to promise anything that I can't deliver on at all because it really gets you in trouble. It hurts trust. It hurts relationships. And it's going to end quickly and probably pretty bad. So I don't promise anything I can't deliver on. I'm very honest about that. So, we look at expectations, what are your expectations? Is it more related to the team or is it more about you? What are your goals with that? Is it win a conference championship and, play an NCAA tournament, or is it, I want to average a triple double, So I think stuff like that off the floor, we don't deal with it. I'm just going to be, we're in one of the 3 best leagues in the country. Where there's good players everywhere. There's a lot of good players out there. And I'm not going to risk my job or our team taking a guy that has a history of stuff. I'm just not going to do that. If a person shows you who they are, you need to believe them. And I think that's a great quote to use. So it's really a collaboration of stuff. Obviously, they have to be a good player, but I think that every player from any level, high school, junior college, Division II, D3, NEI, whatever, there's always a transition. And where that kid is coming from, high school program wise, prep school program wise, and where he's coming from home is going to help with that transition. And is it going to be quicker or it's going to be longer? So that's a big thing that we really look at.
Oh man, Coach, that's very interesting what you said, because you pretty much said the things that all the college coaches I had on say, Coach, that nowadays things have changed, that characters, still matters because, like you said, Coach, you said it. Anybody knows basketball knows that the conference you play in is one of the three toughest conferences. So guys want to play in that conference because they know, like you said, that hey, you go play at Navarro, you go play at McMillan, you go play at TJC, you go play, at Trinity Valley. You're probably going to move on, to the next level because you guys
full
have
scholarships, absolutely.
Yeah. There you go, Coach. So there you go. So yeah, no doubt about that, Coach. So character matters. So everybody viewing in understand that coaches. I tell them this all the time. Some of my prospects and clients, Coach, that coaches recruit parents. So
absolutely,
I try to tell them. So hey, don't this. I tell most of my parents, my best advice: you go to the game, just sit there and be quiet. Don't say anything.
And I'm a parent myself too. So I mean, I have two kids as well.
Okay.
And I understand it. I understand it. But at the end of the day, you have to hand them off and you have to trust that person that you're doing. And, you're not at practice every day, you're free to come, but the kids probably don't want you to do that. But so I understand the responsibility I have as a parent, especially if it's a kid that's, from the West Coast or the East Coast or like even international. I understand the responsibility I hold. That's a big responsibility, and I take that responsibility very, very seriously. But at the same time, we are going to have some talks, and it's kind of like an interview for both sides,
No doubt. Well, hey, from a viewer's tune there, man, you can tell I'm having a great time hanging out on TaylorMade Hoops Coach's Corner. Talk to my main man, Coach Matt, who's the head coach at Navarro Junior College in Corsicana, Texas. Coach, let me ask this, Coach. What are some things you feel players should be focusing on as far as trying to improve their game on the court that can make them a more recruitable prospect, Coach?
I don't think there's enough emphasis to put on the weight room. We try to hammer that hard here. We don't have a strength coach. It's kind of us and my coach staff that does it, but it can transform your game. And I think guys who have a background in that already, that again played for a program in high school where they did lift weights, and understand what that is. It's just the easier transition. So I think the strength conditioning aspect of it's huge. I think you have to lift in order to be successful. I think it creates toughness, it creates strength, it creates confidence, a lot of stuff it does, so that's one thing. I think another one too is, just small stuff like executing, I think, screening, like, do you set screens? Do you not set screens? Do you whiff on screens? Do you know how to use a ball screen? How do you come off a ball screen if you're a guard? Do you just go straight down or do you try to take an angle off it? If you're a big, do you know how to slip? Do you know how to pop? You know how to roll? You'd be amazed with the answers of that a lot of times, or no, I mean, how do you hand off the basketball? How do you come off a flare? Just small little stuff with that. I like to say I don't coach effort. I can't coach effort. I'm not a good enough coach to coach X's and O's and effort. That ain't me. And I don't know many coaches that are. So for us, we are teachers on the floor. And I think that, when you already have a background in that already from your prep school or your high school, it just really, really helps. It's a lot easier.
Well, hey, Coach, that's one thing that I tell folks, Coach, that seriously, Coach, that when you guys are recruiting players, especially we all know the game getting older, older players anyway. I tell my high school guys, that's one way that you can make yourself more recruitable. Is just already have, the strength, a nice, body, nice build, what have you.
Absolutely.
The eye test, So
yeah.
Coach, come today, Coach, look at, because I tell folks, Coach, I try to, because I'm one of the people, Coach, to be honest, Coach, that I believe in the sharing the knowledge, Coach. So any knowledge I got, I try to share. So I tell folks, hey, I'm just going to, like, as the young folks, I'm trying to put you up on some game that what college coaches are looking for. A lot of times we look at the eye test. Like if I'm walking the gym, Coach, like I do, and I try to be biased, I don't go on rankings when I go to these tournaments. I'm walking through, and I'm just looking for a good game. One thing that catches my eye, coach, is going to be the eye test size. I see,
Absolutely.
I see a kid
Absolutely.
about 6'8", coach.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm gonna stop. I'm like, let me see what this kid can do. And now
Yep.
he may not be able to play, but or if it's a guard, coach. If I'm looking at point guards, it's a smaller guard. He already has a nice, strong, compact build.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm kind of looking at him. I'm like, okay. Then if he gets out there on the defense end, so that's something you don't have to worry about. That's one less thing that you guys have to worry about when that kid gets there. Y'all can focus on other things, like you said, coach. If he already understands, the weight room and things that sort, coach. Very good
Right.
point. Coach.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. You're right.
Well, coach, let me ask this, coach. What are some things you feel players focus on too much, coach? What you think they're focusing on too much, coach?
Shooting on the gun, half speed.
Yeah.
Like we like to make a big part of that. You got to go game speed on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're working out from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 8 o'clock at night, it doesn't mean that you're working. You could be working on the wrong stuff. You're going half speed, taking threes off free dribbles. You ain't gonna do that in the game. So I think whatever you do, whether it's cutting or ball handling or whatever, like you got to go game speed. Like you got to go game speed, and that's taught. Like that's taught. Very rarely, do we have a freshman class where everybody comes in and they understand that? No, they don't. You have to tell them, hey, this is game speed. For a lot of these guys, it's the first time in their life where
Yes.
they've looked across the line, and the person who is on them can probably do a few things better than them. So what's going to shrink that gap? And I think how you practice your craft and how you do that every day helps shrink that gap. So if you're going to be in the gym from 3 to 8, which is a long time, but you're just kind of screwing around going half speed, it's not going to get you better. That's great. You're in there for 8 hours. That's awesome. But it's kind of defeating the purpose, So if you're a guard, game speed shots, man. Game speed shots. Game speed shots. That's the most important thing I can say, because at this level, at any collegiate level, it's a quick window, man. It's a quick closeout, and you're there. And all of our stuff's on tape, it's on film. So we're in league play right now. So I mean, we know our personnel scouts. He doesn't have a left hand. He spins right every time. He draws a lot of charges. Like, as a player, you got to look at your weaknesses and work on those. It's easy to work on your strengths. It's easy to do that. If you're a really good 3-point shooter, it's great going in there and putting in work and making 100 threes after practice. Work on your ball handling, can't get by anybody. I think that's hard. That's hard for people to do. That's hard for me to do on weaknesses, So I think, we have to challenge ourselves with that and work on some stuff that we're not quite there yet with it.
Man, the most important thing I took from that, coach, is something that I remember when I was coaching the Independence with Coach Lee, Patrick Lee, and that's something he always would say. He was big on something. I learned from him, learned a lot from him, especially that we had this kid one time, man, not going to embarrass the kid, but kid could really shoot the ball, what have you. But in practice, coach, I always get mad and upset because in practice, he'd be down there and he would be taking, he had the prettiest textbook shot, like, coach, like back, he should be on the J.J. Redick's Better Basketball video. I mean, great, pretty shot, coach. But he's smooth, coach. He shooting whatever. And so, man, coach, he's been down there like literally red in the face. I come up like, hey, coach, you okay? He's like, red face, he's like, Taylor. Like, Jesus, man. And he'd be like, and then all the guys that were from Dallas Fort Worth area, he already told me, coach, those your guys. So, he look at me like, look at your man down there. I'm like,
and Coach Nee's old man was a Hall of Fame coach in Nebraska.
Oh my God, great job, man.
So he's been around basketball since he's been
man.
a baby.
Yes.
So
yes.
Pat's an unbelievable offensive coach and does a great job.
My God. But Pat was mad, so he told me, but that's one thing he told me, he said, hey man, he's not gonna make it in the game. I said, why he's not gonna make shots? He said, because he's going half speed, what have you. He said he's not taking game shots. So that's something I learned from his, that he would always say that he rather for a kid to come in 15 minutes, and put up game speed shots. And the guy been there for an hour just putting up, what they
Yep.
call pretty nice cool shots. No,
Yep.
but that's a great point you made, Coach. If you're in the gym, go hard, man. Go hard.
Yep.
Well, Coach, we're gonna transition over, Coach. We're gonna talk about college basketball and everything that's going on with that. So, Coach, tell me this, Coach. What do you feel? What's your take on the present state of college basketball, man? What you feel we're in a good space? What you feel about? How you feel about that?
I think in any industry, in any business, I think you have to adapt.
Okay.
I think you have to. So I think a lot of the stuff that has happened over the last few years is a good thing. Like NIL is a great thing for players, for athletes. Schools make a lot of money off them. So for years, they should have been compensated. There's no doubt about that. I think it's a good thing. It's a job, but I think anytime, let's try to make this more like a professional model,
Mm-hmm.
and you still have the school element with it, but, let's try to make this, like the NBA and collective bargaining. So here's what we have. And I think the worst thing now is the fact that, you can leave after 1 year and there's no punishment. You just go. So if you sign a, 2-year NIL deal, then that's going to help with that. Like if you want to leave after 1 year, well, the school's got to pay a buyout. So that would clean up a lot of that stuff. And so I think NIL is great in theory. It's awesome. I just think there needs to be some guardrails with it,
Yeah.
and I think it's a mess. I think it's ridiculous that you can put your name in during the season. I think that's absurd. I think that's like I as a coach, you shouldn't be worried about a kid coming into your office and saying, "Well, hey, coach, I'm going to enter the portal on the 12th of January." That shouldn't be allowed. And then after the season, let's kind of reevaluate where we're at. But quitting on your teammates and your team and stuff, man, that's really not helping anybody. And so I think that we live in an instant gratification world where we want instant results. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So I think you have to adapt with it, and, as a coach, and listen, I've been head coach for 10 years, so I've seen it change. And it's becoming more transactional. And that's what, and that's what the professional model is, So it's business, If you're not getting the job done, if you're not playing well, if you're screwing up off the floor, it's business. We're to go a different direction. Just like you would go a different direction if you don't like the offense we're running, So I do think we're heading in the right way. I just think that there needs to be a cap on some things and some guardrails. And, I really think sports can teach you a lot about life. And in life, when you don't get a promotion and you deserved one and you put all the time in and you have done everything correctly and you get passed over, you can't quit your job right then at the moment because you got a family to feed at home. You got electric bill, you got internet, you got student loans, maybe you got car payments. So I mean, I just think so I get, yes, transfer, yes, I get that, but let's do it the right way. Let's do it the right way, and let's actually, because right now, here's something that no one talks about, and no one talks about this, is the kids that put their name in the portal, they never get anything. Nobody ever talks about that. Nobody ever, but every single year, there are kids that get horrible advice from parents or from anybody to put their name in the portal, and literally they don't get anything.
Yes.
And then they've 1 year eligibility left. And I mean, a lot of schools, you can't go back to your previous school after you put your name in. So it's a big decision, man. And I think, I think there needs to be, kind of a step-by-step process with that, kind of like a warning. Hey, I'm considering entering the portal. Well, here's, a 2 to 3 week window. I really want you to consider it, and then put your name, back on the team. So uh, there's a whole lot of different ways you could do it, but it's not going to change. It's going to be there. And I think more than anything, it's all about the timing, you know. And
Okay.
if you look at, collegiate football, I mean, a cornerback for Ohio State can, you know, like he can come in the coach's office one day before the Fiesta Bowl and say, "Hey, coach, I want to transfer." And I mean, it's just like, what about your teammates? Like, I mean, it's just wild. And the coaches that are trying to get him a transfer, they're getting a new job or something like that. It's just wild, so Wild West. So I love NIL. I think it's awesome. I think it's way, way late. It should have came way earlier. And I get the transfer part. I do. I mean, like, if the coach leaves, I think the player should have a, I mean, like, automatic, he can look around, no matter what time of year it is. So, and the coach left, so, I mean, he shouldn't be hurt on that. So, I think we're heading in the right direction. I think, you don't know who's in charge right now.
Yeah.
I think on anything,
Yeah.
there's NCAA, and that's all you hear. You don't have a voice. There's no one voice for that. It's committees. And last time I checked, like, committees really don't really, like, they screw up sometimes. So we need a supreme leader, a supreme commander who's in charge of all this. Who is that? I have no idea. But, I just think it needs to have some guardrails up. I could talk this for an hour. I'm not going to.
Oh, we can, coach. We can. And I will let you, coach, because you bring up some great points. And I told folks how I take the coaches that I have no problem with kids getting paid. Like you said, I'm old school coach where, I definitely believe that, even though we came up through a time of coach where we just happy with having the opportunity to play and getting a scholarship. So, but I understand times to say that I'm cool with that. And as far as transfer point, coach, I think it should be that a kid should, just like if the coach is able to transfer, that the kids should have the option to be able to move.
Sure.
But in a general sense, coach, I feel that as far as just a transferring of it, I think that the kids should be able to transfer one time, no restrictions, coach. I just think, one time, because I think sometimes, stuff may not work out. It may be, a problem with the coach. It happens. And we know, believe it or not, every coach in the business, coach is not a great guy. So we know how manipulative and petty people could be. So I get it. But after that, coach, I think it should go like it should be, coach. That, like I say, you gotta have some doggone guardrails and things, like you were saying. So if a guy transfer again, then hey, you can transfer, but you know what? Hey, you're gonna have to sit out a year. Like you coach, you have to sit out a year, have to, you still practice team, but you got to sit out because, coach, you gotta have some type of thing to hold the kid to something, because if not, now, like I say, coach, it's just crazy. But I think, like you say, it's a good thing. But like you said, on both ends, coach, we got to get some type of something going on.
And I would like to be, and like, I don't have the answer on this. I do not have the evidence on this. Like, so I'm not trying to say that I'm correct on it, but it'd be interesting to see how many guys, transfer their senior year, junior year. Are they still able to graduate? Because a lot of those 3,000 level, 4,000 level classes aren't going to transfer. So I'm not trying to say that they're not graduating. I just think it'd be interesting to see if there's a problem with that, or does the school have to fill that commitment? Hey, if you play for us for a year, but here's part of your NIL deal, we're going to give you, a year and a half to graduate. Have that in the contract to make it there. So, because I mean, you hear stories all the time. He's 3 hours away from graduating. He's a few classes away from graduating, and I know what a diploma on the wall can do for you. It can really open up doors for you. And at the end of the day, that's what started collegiate athletics. So we can't lose sight of that as well. And I think sometimes we do on both sides.
And I think you brought up a good point, coach. I think because most people don't understand that the NIL deals are made, with the companies, with the university. So you got to treat it as such. So if a kid comes in and he's fortunate enough to be able to be an NIL type of player, then, like you say, okay, you got a 2-year deal. You got to stay here 2 years. Then, like you said, coach, within 2 years, you got 2.5 years to get your degree. Or like say
Yep.
sometimes the parameters, just like now he's on a scholarship, if your GPA falls below, or just have things written in like that, coach, where you can have something binding, coach, as far as that, coach. But
Yep.
speaking of that, coach, the next next stuff as far as all this college changes, coach. We're gonna talk about some of the even more recent new NCAA changes. How do you feel, coach, about the new junior college ruling, coach? How do you feel about that?
There's a lot of misinformation out there
Okay, okay, okay,
with it. I think right now, the only thing that's been passed is if, for example, if you're playing for Weber State, I'm just saying a random school, and you played 2 years at Hutchinson Community College, and you played 2 years at Trinity Valley Community College. Okay,
okay,
you will get the year back. So,
okay,
you will get the year back in right now. If you played for Indiana State and you played Indian Hills for 2 years, you will get the year back. You'll have one
okay,
more year to play. That's the only thing right now that's passed. Now, I do think that eventually, um, junior college will be still junior college, but I think everyone will get one free year of it. When I say one free year, 1 year of eligibility that it won't
okay,
count.
okay,
That's what I think is going to happen. It hasn't
okay,
happened yet, but it'll almost be like post grad, where
mhm,
all right, if you come to Navarro, it's not going to count for your clock. You can still
okay,
take classes and all that, but let's say you transfer to SFA after our place, you'll be classified as a freshman.
got it,
So I think that's where we're headed, and I think they have to do that. Once you do a precedent, you have to stand by that precedent. And the Diego Pavia ruling, it impacted a lot of student athletes. So you can't
mhm,
just pick him and say, "Oh, it's just him at Vanderbilt." No, it's all of them. So
mhm, mhm.
um, now, do I know when they're going to make that decision? No. That's the frustrating thing is we got kids right now that are getting recruited and they don't really know what they are. They don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
And for us too, I think junior college programs should be graded on do their kids graduate and where
Mhm,
their players go, and that's part of my
mhm,
job is to move guys on. And um, COVID made that a lot harder because you had a extra class there. Well, now we got another extra class. So,
mhm.
um, it's just we need some clarification on it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of information out there that's just not true yet. And so
Mhm,
right now, if you're listening, the only thing that's passed is, you know, if you're at that level and you
mhm,
play junior college, you will get another year or two. If you're a high school player, you don't. Like that's
mhm.
just wild to think about to say out loud. So um hopefully in March we'll get some clarification. But who knows? Could be May, could be June, could be July. But if I had a crystal ball, I would say that everybody um will have 1 year that will not count against their clock.
Okay, okay. Well, hey, everybody's tuning in, as you can tell, man, having a great time, man, with Coach Mack, who's the head coach at Navarro Junior College in Corsicana, Texas, just chopping up how we always do on TaylorMade Hoops Coach's Corner. Hey, Coach, you spoke of the JUCO ruling. Now, what do you feel about the elimination of the national letter of intent, Coach?
That doesn't really affect me.
Okay,
I'll be honest.
okay,
I have no.
okay,
I mean, I've heard about it, obviously.
okay.
Um, I, you know, I, at our level, if that happened, it would be a complete disaster. Like I don't know. Like I don't know how you would keep people in their contract, but I'm sure there's people that are a lot smarter than me that have that all laid out and figured out. At our level, one thing that has changed is the transfer waiver rule, which is good. So now you can transfer, from junior college to junior college, and a coach that has a grudge or that was unhappy about the way you left or something like that, like he initially does not have to get transfer waived. So,
Mhm.
which I think is a good thing. I think it's a good thing. I mean, you don't want to prevent any young man or young woman like to continue playing just because of how it ended with you. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of horror stories out there about that. So
Mhm.
I'm glad that's kind of out the window on some stuff. But as far as NCA stuff, that doesn't affect me, and I just hear about it.
Okay, okay. So, we'll maybe coach move on to the next question. Maybe like to say, I don't know how much this affects you, coach. But what do you think about the shortening the transfer portal windows?
Yeah, well, I I'm like I said earlier, I think timing's big on that. I think you should not be able to put your name in anything during the year. I think you should be required to complete what you started during the season for your
Mhm.
teammates, for your coaches, for everybody. And so um, I think right now you have to have your name in by May 1 in order to play the
Mhm.
next year. And then you have some other circumstances if your coach leaves, takes a new job or something that changes. But two,
Mhm.
what you're going to get to is all Division Ones are going to have a cap for scholarships too. So it's going to be capped where you can't have three guys red shirting over here. Everybody's going to
Mhm.
get capped 15,
Mhm.
15, 15, 15. So,
Mhm.
which again, kind of moves toward the collective bargaining and the professionalism of it. So, I think the transfer stuff's good. Like I said, I understand it. I just think there needs to be some guardrails and some stuff put in place that's just a little bit a little bit cleaner, a little bit
Mhm.
cleaner, a little bit more black and white.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that, coach. Well, coach, man, hey, I appreciate you, man. You going out over there with us, man. I really learned some things, especially the part about the JUCO stuff, because I had heard some things. Like you said, I'm glad you clarified what's set in stone. The other stuff is, I guess, stuff that we may be hoping for. I guess I don't know.
Well, I mean, if I had a crystal ball, like I said, I I'm pretty confident that's going to pass. I just don't know when. You just don't know when, and that's hard right now. I mean, what do I tell my freshmen? I think
Mhm. Mhm.
right now it's, hey, let's kind of wait and see what they say. There's a chance that you'll have the year back. There's a chance that you won't have the year back, and you have to be where your feet are. You have to be where your feet are, and that's hard sometimes to do. So I think the sooner the better, and uh, we can get a decision here. That'd be great. So that's above my pay grade.
Bro, both of us, coach. Well, coach, we go transition over, coach. Kind of talk about your team in this season. So, coach, Mac, tell me, coach, how's the season going? Is the team meeting your expectations, coach?
Yeah, I think any season's a journey. I think you have chapters of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
We had three qualifiers last year that all got great looks that they wanted. So we had 12 new players. I'm sorry, 13 new players. And I haven't had 13 new players since year one at Panola. So it was refreshing kind of, but also it's challenging because, you're having to mesh all these people together and like you get them here in August and you start playing scrimmages in October. So I still think we're still learning about each other, which is crazy to say because you're almost through with January, but I really believe that. You get 3 weeks off at Christmas. That's You come back, it's a completely different season. Anybody that does junior college will attest to that. It's a completely different season. So I got a really young group. Um, but we have a few upperclassmen that are big time leaders, that are huge character guys, and I love being around our group. And I think as a coach, you do this long enough, you'll have groups that you don't like being around. You'll have groups that are a little bit more high maintenance than other groups. You'll have groups that just aren't that energetic compared to other ones. And I always like to say I would rather have a guy that's too far turned up than too far turned
Mhm.
down.
That's good, Coach.
And our guys are a joy to be around every day. We had the highest GPA that we've had in my tenure this past fall, and a lot of those guys, it was their very first time in college. So that was big.
Okay.
That was big.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think junior colleges should be graded on that. And I mean, yes, we all want to win games. Yes, we all do. But at the end of the day, what's the most important thing that you're doing? The most important thing you're doing is you got to move on that athlete. You got to move them on, and you got to graduate them. And that's something that I go into recruiting, and I'm confident that I can do that. I'm confident because we've done it before. We've done it here, 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 and here, and we're going to give the answer to the test. And here's what it is. Like you have to do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And we're very proud of the product and the brand that we've created. I mean, here at Navarro, it really starts at the top with our president. I mean, he's an ex-coach. He gets it.
Okay.
Is very, loves athletics. Coach Landers is my AD, but he was the head coach here prior to me getting the job. We competed against each other in the league when I was at Panola College.
Mhm.
Coach is a Hall of Fame coach on the women's side. He won a bunch of national championships at Trinity Valley. He won the league his last year here. So to have him as my boss, my
Yeah.
immediate boss, and it's just big because he understands my chair because he's been in it. So, like, that's invaluable. It really is. So, we have a great deal down here, man. Great place. Gym is really nice. It's a great location. But our group, we're right there. I think right now we're in 4th place in the league. I think something like that. Um, Trinity Valley is number 2 in the country. They are an elite team. We play them at home Wednesday night. It's going to be a great atmosphere, huge challenge for us. Panola has a really good ball club. We beat them at the buzzer a few weeks back. We have to go there in a few weeks. That'll be hard. Angelina is probably the most underrated team in the country. We just played them this past weekend, and they got us pretty good. We weren't quite ready for that type of basketball yet, which is good for my young group. So I think when you have a young group, the hardest thing is to get them to understand that you have to play hard every single time in our league, and if you don't, you're gonna get
Mhm.
embarrassed. And I
Mhm.
think, and you can't look at rankings, you can't look at like if you don't bring it in our league, especially on the road, you're not going to win. And I
Mhm.
think we're one of the 3 best leagues in the country. I have worked in West Texas. I've worked in East Texas. I've worked in Florida. I've worked in Kansas. Um, Ours is right up there. And I think the difference between ours and other ones is the parity in the bottom. There's
Oh
really not
yeah.
a bottom of our league. There's really not. Usually you have teams like, oh, that's going to be an easy win. That's going to be an easy win. We
Mhm.
really don't
Mhm.
have that. There's a
No.
lot of parity. And if you look at our
No.
records, it kind of symbolizes that. Lee, Blinn, us, Closure,
Mhm.
Tyler, Paris. Like, I mean, they're all right there. Angelina, I
Oh
mean,
my God.
everybody's
Oh my
right there.
God.
So,
Oh my God.
um, our our league changed the schedule this past year. I'm not a huge fan of it. I've made that very clear with everybody that will listen. Um, you know, I think we should try to get teams in the national tournament at Hutch. And I think since I've been here, we've gotten 3 teams 3 times maybe. So how does our league keep that up? And there's only 8 at-large bids. So if you eat each other alive, which is what we're doing right now,
Mhm.
then it's going to be hard to get one of those at-large bids. It just is because,
Yeah.
you know, I would compare it to the SEC West for collegiate football. Alabama, Auburn, A&M, Texas, Oklahoma,
Mhm.
Arkansas,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know, Ole Miss, just eat each
Mhm.
other alive in football. So, like, that's where our league is. So,
Mhm.
I think we're heading in the right direction. I got a good group, and we're just trying to play our best in the month of March, and that's coming up pretty soon.
Oh yeah, Coach. My God, I'm over here to shake my head because I forget some of them teams that's in the league, and I bumped to some of them coaches. I bumped to Coach Shu for Glenn, man, not too long ago.
Hall of Fame coach. Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah,
Yep.
I bumped to all the guys. I bumped to Coach Foy Paris. So I
Hall
bumped
of
to all
Fame
the guys.
coach.
Saying,
Won the national
oh, hey,
championship.
Coach,
I mean,
Coach.
Coach Foy is one of the best coaches in the
Oh,
whole
Coach, that's what
country.
I'm saying. Coach, then what people don't realize in the league, the proof's in the pudding. You got Hall of Fame coaches, guys that won national championships, in this league. It's just amazing, man. Woo!
And there's
Coach,
no bias. There's no bias this year. How about that?
oh my God, Coach. No, there's no bias in there, Coach. Good
No,
Lord, man.
so yeah, how about so
That league,
yeah.
Jesus, man. Well, Coach, let me ask this, Coach. You spoke of the team. Now tell me about some of your players, Coach. Who are some TaylorMade picks? Who are some players that these 4-year colleges
Yeah.
need to put eyes on?
Jalen Griffith is a kid we have. He's a true point guard. Played at Simeon High School in Chicago. He's a D1 transfer from Jacksonville University in Florida. He won a lot of games in high school. He's a winner. He's a true point guard. He's having a great year. I think he's top 8 in the league in scoring and assists. He's our lead scorer. Smaller guard, but still, I mean, he gets after it. He's a winner. He is like a low major, mid major guy. Great student, 3.5 GPA, 0 issues, and won a lot of games in high school. Was on some really good teams, so he's been coached, understands it.
Mm-hmm.
He's number 2 in the league in steals. He's number 2 in the league in assists. So he's having a really good year for us. He's one for sure. Elijah Mitchell, who's a freshman, actually went post-grad in Houston at Good Vision Academy. Played for DJ Anderson as well. He's a really good coach.
Mm-hmm.
In Houston, does a great job. And I mean, like Elijah went to Oak Hill for a year. I mean, he's a really interesting story, but he's a qualifier. He's got 3 years. He's a wing, close to 6'3.5" or so. Maybe a little taller on that, but springboard athlete. He's going to get something. I mean, he's having a really good year for us. Elijah Mitchell is going to have 3 years. So those two, and then I'm trying to miss on. There's Jaquarius Patterson is also a qualifier that has 3 years. That's having a really good year for us. He's a big wing, plays a 3-4. I think he's still growing height-wise. He's young. And, Marcus Green is an upperclassman transfer that we have from a JUCO in California, where he averaged 11 and 9. I don't care where you play at. If you average that many rebounds, that means you get rebounds. So he's been great with that. Had some injury problems, but he's a high character kid. He's going to get something. He's not a low major plus guy. So we're really young. And I think, but we have 3 upperclassmen. Matthew Nader, who's a transfer from Vincennes, sniper, shooter, great kid from Canada, can really put the ball on the deck as well. Wiry, just an unbelievable kid, man. I'm talking about going game speed. He goes game speed every day of the week, no matter what time of day it is, man. He's going. So he's going to help out some programs. There's no doubt about that. So our 3 upperclassmen and then those freshmen, and I have a couple other freshmen who are qualifiers. So it's going to make some hard decisions in the year. You got to see what you have, and and what you think's the best place. If we're lucky enough to have a few of these back, I think we're gonna have a really freaking good team next year. But at the same time, it's my job to move guys on, and I think that's how you're graded as a program. So, and I mean, we take a lot of pride in that. So I got to get our guys. I got to move our guys on.
Oh yeah, you do that.
That means I got to recruit, 12 more. That means I recruit 12 more. I don't want to do that, but that means I've got to recruit 12 and do
it. Well, Coach, man, I know, man, we both want to get back to that game, man. So we're gonna end on this last question, Coach. Go ahead, Coach. I know you do, Coach. Any advice for young coaches aspiring to move up into profession to the collegiate level, or just to become a head coach?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I was extremely lucky to have the role models I had early on in my career that helped me with that, helped me grow, empowered me. And I think that you got to be patient. Like I said, we live in an instant gratification world. I didn't make more than $8,000 until I became a head coach. Um, so you have to sacrifice,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you have to sacrifice. Like you got to be single. As a
Yes.
young, like you got to be able to move. Like I mean, it's just
Yeah.
it's not for everybody. And that's okay. High school basketball is great, man. There's a lot more high school coaches that are really good that are outstanding. So I'm not trying to knock high school at all, but it's a little different, and I
Mhm.
mean, you got to be able to move
Mhm.
and throw stuff in a bag and be able to go. So I mean, the advice would be that I wouldn't get engaged or married until you make it. I think
Yeah.
that's I think that's really hard to do to somebody and to do a good job. So and I think too, just being loyal. I think it's almost like the army, the military. I think there's a chain of command, and you're a, your head coach gives you an opportunity. He gives you a job. You need to do that job as best as you can. You do that job as best as you can, and that's how you get the next job. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
if you're worried about the job down the road or in the springtime, this job opened up. Oh, great, I'm gonna try for that. You got to do where you're at, and if you don't do a good job
Mhm.
where you're at, it's going to be hard to move on anyway. So I think that's
Mhm.
huge. Also, man, I think you get one name in this business. You get one name
Mhm.
and you get one chance for that one name. So,
Mhm.
do you want that name to be class? Do you want it to be a guy that's well liked? Do you want to be a hothead? Do you want to be a guy that, says I after everything? Do you want to be
Mhm.
a guy that promotes himself 24 hours a day and exhausting? I mean, do you want to be a guy that's a team guy? I mean, you get one name. And so you can't screw up off the floor. You can't, it's a hard business, man. So, I mean, but I think, just the reward of seeing young people reach their goals and their dreams and aspirations is why you do it. And I think if that's not in your core belief or your ethos somewhere, it's going to be hard to last because eventually you're going to burn out. You
Mhm.
just are. So I think,
Mhm.
at the
Mhm.
end of the day, we are teachers. That's who we are. Um,
Mhm.
just because we wear gym shorts and gym shoes, we're still teachers. The gym's our
Mhm.
classroom. And
Mhm.
so, your job is to grow your students and to get them out. So, and players, young coaches, that's great that you have a great out of bounds play. That's awesome. Comes down to players. Comes down to players. You get jobs from players. You get
Yes,
jobs
sir.
from players because you win games. You get players.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
also you also can be hired because you have access to players. It's all about players. And I didn't learn that until I got into junior college. And I figured that out. It's all about players. Players
Oh
make
yeah.
an average coach look really, really good.
Oh yeah.
Really, really good. And if
Oh
I'm
yeah.
a coach and I'm hiring somebody, I'm not hiring them because how they teach shell drill. I'm hiring them
Mm-mm.
because, can you help me get some players? Do you have access to players?
There you
And
go, coach.
still with the portal, I don't care. It's still about relationships. And it's about history. It's about that. And I mean, you know, I'm not a head coach if I don't win a JUCO national championship. I'm just not. And that was from good players that we recruited at Northwest Florida. So, um, yeah, all about players, young coaches, all about players. Name, you get one name, and it takes a while, man. It just takes a while, and it's not fair. But there's sometimes you got to take a few steps back to move forward. Um, and you know, so yeah, that's about all I got.
Oh man. No, coach, you said a lot, man. A couple things. Hey, be a star in your role. because a lot of young coaches, do that. And I'm transparent, and I'll be honest with you, Coach. Early in my career, I was guilty of that.
Sure, we all were. Yeah.
Because you got so much aspiration. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
You're so young. You know how it goes, Coach. So yeah. So I instead of even though, don't get me wrong, Coach, I felt I was loyal, doing a good job where I was, but I probably, like you said, could have did a better job. But because I was worried about, I was their first one, Coach. That hiring season, that March, April coming around. You know how the basketball hiring season go, Coach. I'm looking. Oh, okay, yeah. Instead of just being a star, like you said, Coach, in my role, Coach, like you said, man, that's something that
Where you're at. Yeah.
got to understand, man.
And that's the thing on your resume. I mean, have you made an impact wherever you've been at? Can that school president or AD call every school on that list? What are they going to say about you?
There you go, Coach.
And if you do a good job, they're going to say good stuff. So
there you go, Coach. There you go. Well, hey, to my viewers, unfortunately, it came down to the end, but we definitely have Coach back on. If he wants to come on, he has an open invitation. Hey, Coach, two things I always do, Coach. The first thing, Coach, go ahead and let everybody know how they can get in contact with you, any contact or information you want to give out as far as individually or as far as about your team, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Twitter page at Grant_MCMILLAN3. Okay, the number 3 is my Twitter handle, and Navarro Basketball has one as well. Check out that. And we post highlights, we post schedules, we post tryouts, a lot of different things that we do. So if you want to follow our program and our league, check out the Twitter page that we have.
All right, Coach, man. Appreciate you, Coach. And last thing, Coach, I always do this to everybody, Coach. Go ahead and let everybody know who had the great pleasure of interviewing you today. Who's you rocking with, Coach?
I'm walking with one of the best in the business, especially in the DFW. ET, my man, Edmund Taylor, one of the best people. Been doing it a long time, man. Been doing it a long time, and I'm saying this, but there's guys who just kind of do it, and there's guys who roll their sleeves up and really do it. And you're one of those guys who does a good job. You don't have an agenda on it, man, and just keep on doing what you're doing. You are opening up a lot of doors for people, and that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing. So parents looking for advice or anything, ET does a really good job, and he's been around the block, man, so he knows. So appreciate you, man.
Oh, no, I appreciate you, Coach. I appreciate the kind words, Coach. I really do, man. That means a lot coming from you. And like I said, Coach, man, thing I'm leaving everybody with what people see. I try to have not just great coaches on, but great people. And like Coach said, at the end of the day, our job is to use our influence to try to help these kids reach their dreams, man. Like I said, Coach, my job is to help kids reach their dreams. I'm a dream chaser, Coach. That's what we do, Coach. Help these kids reach their dreams, man. I appreciate your time, Coach. Appreciate your time,
Thank you,
Coach,
man. I'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Oh, I will, Coach. You have a good night, Coach. Appreciate you, man.
Too, man.
All right, man. No doubt.